Okay, well, I will start off with saying a little something about HotS logs in general before we move on to talent choices. What happens is you load up the main page and there are a list of heroes in order from the hero that wins the most on average to the hero that wins the least on average. So right now, Lost Vikings #1, and there are planned changes to minions at the moment on the PTR. They're going to have 100% extra damage to structures, which seems like it will increase Lost Vikings win rate even further, but that's beside the point. So all the heroes in order of win rate. Obviously, if you are learning new heroes, you're looking for ones to add to your roster, you want to be looking for ones with, generally speaking, a high win rate. There are lots of heroes towards the bottom of the win rates which have very respectable, very desirable places within competitive teams. For example, Muradin is often considered to be one of, if not the best tank in competitive play, and yet he has the second lowest win rate of all the heroes within Hero League. Similarly, Uther is a very sought after healer in Hero League, in competitive play, sorry. But again, he's got a very low win rate at the moment, although his plan changes may change all that. But don't get seduced by watching these sorts of things on competitive play. You do not have their skill level, nor do you have voice comms, nor do you have a team that knows and understands you. So Muradin's stun, for example, is brilliant when combined with lots of other stuns and coordinated marvellously so that the person can't move. But his stun on his own is quite weak if you do not combine it with several other stuns and follow-ups. So examples of things that don't help you by watching competitive play, but these sort of statistics will help you with. So what does the average player win when they're playing Muradin? The average player playing Hero League wins 44% of the time when they're playing Muradin, whereas the average player playing something like Diablo will win 53% of the time. So nearly 10% more. That's just for the average player. So if you're a bad Diablo, you will probably win more than a good Muradin. If you're an amazing Muradin, maybe you can rival their win rate, but in general, you want to look at the average win rates because they're going to make a huge difference to you. So once you've done that, you can scroll down towards the bottom and see some information about maps. It will tell you on the map who wins the most on this particular map, how long it takes this particular map on average, which heroes are good on it basically. They don't change all that much from their percentages in this list, but there are some heroes that are better on some maps than others. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. We are here to talk about heroes and talent choices. So Leoric's just got some recent buffs, and you can see that he has increased in win rate by 4.6%. So he was absolute trash and is now a very good solid tank. He was also one of my favourite tanks from before, and now I'm enjoying playing him again because he's had his Drain Hope buffed, so it leeches an extra 5% of health and does an extra 5% of damage. So if you click on Leoric, it will then break down into various different talents. So at level 1, you can see that there are 4 different choices, and here, because Mana Thirst is picked less than 1% of the time, you don't get a win percentage, but generally speaking, they give you a win percentage. So you can see that in general, Reanimation is the best talent on this tier. You can see that Fealty unto Death is the best talent on this tier. For level 7, they are all much of a muchness. It's up for personal choice. And level 10, it's close between the two. It's a matter of preference. Level 13, it's clear that Burning Rage is the best choice of this tier. Level 16, you get the idea. They're all fairly close. And at level 20, Spectral Leech is by far the best. Now these things go up and down a little bit. They do move depending on the meta slightly. They move from week to week just based on the way that the numbers and particular people have played them. But it is a very good indicator of which talents are good and which talents aren't good. So it tells you how much they've been picked, and it tells you how much they have won. Also down the bottom, you can see popular talent builds and how they combine. So here you can see that the highest win percentage would be reanimation, and then any talent that you like from 4. I never know how to say this, but Ossian, renewal, and then it wants you to take Entomb at level 10, Burning Rage, and Consume Vitality at 16, Spectral Leech at 20. So if you do that, on average, you will win 68.5% of the time. So this is a great basis for choosing your talents, looking at who has done, who has picked what, and how they combine. So if we looked at, say, level 7, Ossian Renewal is not the top win rate at this tier, Ghastly Reaches, for example, but when you combine it with the other talents, actually, Ossian's Renewal is actually the best choice when combined with the others. So as a set, these work well together. You can also see that specializing into Drain Hope here is not a silly choice by any means. So there are a few things in the top win rates that specialize into Drain Hope, but it is not the top win rate selection. So in general, you want a default go-to build, a build that will help you win most games, and if all things are equal and you have no particular reason to do anything else, that is the build that you go for. But sometimes there are particular reasons to go for other things. Some pressure's on you one way, or you take advantage of a weakness in the enemy team for a particular thing, and then you will change from your standard talent build in order to capitalize on those particular changes. But this is where you'll find the information, and then we will go and we will apply it to Hero League. Okay, so here we are at the start of the Hero League game, and we're going to choose our talents. So we're just starting off, and normally, as we discussed, the best option is going to be reanimation. So that would be our default pick. However, there are some interesting things to note about this particular team comp. So one is that we have Brightwind on our side, which is a low-level continuous heal, so that actually things like regeneration are going to be less important. The second is that on the enemy team are 2 tanks. So there is both ETC and Johanna, both of which are relatively slow and are going to be in range of Drain Hope a lot. So actually a Drain Hope build is probably going to be the way forward for this team comp. So we can depart from the normal build because we are going to rely heavily on Drain Hope. Now it's a skill shot, we're going to have to make sure that we hit our skill shots, otherwise we're going to find ourselves in a lot of trouble because keep missing these and all the benefit is going to be gone. So based on the fact that they don't have a huge amount of damage, I got to choose last, I think, on the Hero League draft. So I had the opportunity to see that they had chosen 2 tanks, and they weren't. Muradin, for example, has Dwarf Toss, you can get out of the way quickly, but we're going to specialise heavily into Drain Hope because of their team comp and partly because of ours. So we're going to base all our talent choices around this. We're going to depart from the normal high win rate choices. So normally we'll be going into reanimation, and then we be going into fealty until death on level 4, but we're going to build almost exclusively around Drain Hope in order that we can successfully try and repel their tanks and also keep me nice and healthy. So Leoric's got great wave clear, and it's good to make use of this. What's going to happen in a minute is that the shrines are going to spawn, and there's going to be 3 shrines spawning, and it's important that we have a good strategy. So I'm just going to tell the team that actually the best plan often to an unprepared team is for 3 of us to go to the bottom shrine and 2 of us defend the top. Now even if the enemy team tries to invade, we can probably defend our shrine, even because we're so far back, but it's good to win the bottom shrine if we possibly can. So by sending 3 people down to it, we have a good opportunity of doing that. Now note Brightwing is with me, and Brightwing has teleport, so Brightwing can go instantly down, which will really help us. And then I just head down, of course, as well. So again, see Johanna, let's abuse the Drain Hope. She's got lovely high hit points, and that does more damage to her, and it does a lot of healing to me. Didn't work out so well for us, that particular team fight, but that's fine. It's only now really I'm watching this replay I notice how wonky Leoric's walk is. Obviously I tried to make it that way because of skeletons, but so again, just keeping the Drain Hope going and trying to make the use of our talent. So we are going to go for Willing Vessel, and we're going to go for Willing Vessel because again, basing it around Drain Hope instead of the normal fealty until death. Here I'm just trying to distract some of these mercenaries because they are going to be quite powerful, and Sylvanas is already occupied with Zagara, so I wanted to take a job off her hands and try and split the mercs up as best I could. After this I will just half back and make sure that I heal up, but I don't really want these mercs crashing into our towers. So I'll just go back and hopefully try to go up towards the top lane where I can see that the tanks are, because that's where I want to be, given that I've got such Drain Hope specialism. I definitely want to be against ETC and Johanna, but can see there is some pressure and nobody in the middle lane, so obviously you need to soak. I'd rather be up against the 2 tanks, but I have decent wave clear, so that's fine. Just go on my own down to the mid lane. So where we are going to go with this is they don't have too many people that I want to catch in an entomb, so Li Ming can teleport out. Rhaegar would be nice, but I think we're probably going to go for a March of the Black King as the ultimate, which again has a bit of sustain, will go nicely. And for this particular talent, we're going to go with Ghastly Reach because we have another tank. So we could go for, I never know how to say this, Ocean Renewal. They're all pretty good, to be honest, apart from Lingering Apparition. So I would go with Ghastly Reach just because we could do a little bit of extra damage, because we have Diablo as a tank. So just gives the swing a little bit of extra range. And allows me to slow people like that. So just keeping these Drain Hopes going. I'd rather hit a tank, but it's fine. I'll take what I can get. Just keep it up as much as we possibly can, and keep the healing up, keep the damage up as often as we can. So again, nobody in the top lane, that's fine. We'll go up to the top lane. We are only level 8, there's no need to group up yet. It'd be good to have some wave clear at this point. So don't use the swing yet, wait till they all group and then use the swing. Pick up the globe. If you can, if you remember, try and attack the back minions first, because they do more damage and they have fewer hit points. The interesting thing about Leoric is what you want to do is trigger the Drain Hope before you use Wraithwalk, because the Drain Hope will continue to heal you from your real body. So you can walk off with your skeletal form, or your ghostly form, whilst still being healed and still doing damage. So good to get that off before you actually start travelling, if you can. So we're just going to carry on doing wave clear and wait for the next shrine to spawn. Try and get around Johanna so that we get extra damage done. Just keep her on the back foot. So we're not going to do much in that lane. We don't want to overextend, even though we're really safe with our Wraithwalk. We're about as safe as anybody can be, being a tank. Yeah, let's keep using our Drain Hope. Just allows me to stay in the middle of this fight, keeps me healthy and keeps their tanks concerned. And back up to the top lane where nobody's soaking. So this isn't really the interesting part of the game just yet. you can see that down the bot lane they are having some issues. So again, wait to use the swing until they're all in range. And now we're going to take March of the Black King, because the way that their lineup's going to be, they're probably going to have 2 tanks up front, and I'm probably going to need the sustain. There's nobody I really want to catch an Entomb other than Rhaegar. So you can see the sort of value you're getting out of Drain Hope at that point. Damage you just do to Johanna, and try and head down to help contest this shrine. So one of the enemy teams died, so I feel safe in stopping to give a quick swing to that minion wave, and then we can come down and then get it onto Johanna. Fortunately we're able to zone the enemy team away during the mosh pit, which is great, and as ETC goes down we'll just grab him with a Drain Hope and finish him off. So it gets such great value against a double tank composition, this Drain Hope, and well worth speccing into it. So there are other lots of interesting talents which otherwise you wouldn't take. Relentless Leader, if you're Reina against ETC, is one of the most obvious. It's amazing against ETC and almost useless against anybody else. There are particular times when the speed at which damage comes in is crucial depending on which talent you're going to pick. So if you're going to get bursted down, for example with Leoric, you may well take at 20, you may well take the Death March one, where you are going to be able to engage nice and quickly with the enemy team and put Drain Hope onto all of them, but normally you want Spectral Leech with a much slower damage composition. Lots of those things are true, like let's take Reina again as an example. You would generally speaking want to have Seasoned Marksman as the default position for your level 1 talent, but there is no harm in taking Give Me More against somebody like a Nova or a Zeratul, Kerrigan perhaps, that's going to get really bursty damage, catch you unawares. So do have a look and see what your enemy has available to them, particularly in terms of burst damage. That will often be the deciding factor in terms of what you pick with your talent. Some of them are great for sustained fights, some of them are great for bursty fights, and you just have to be aware of which. For example, again with Leoric, Fealty Until Death would be awful talent to pick on Battlefield of Eternity, but would be an amazing talent to pick on Tomb of the Spider Queen, because the amount of time you spend in lanes, the amount of minions you're going to see get killed are going to be vastly different. So yes, it's important to pick high win rate talents, but you mustn't forget to customize them for the map that you're on, the composition you're facing, etc. So again, no surprise, we're going to go for Crushing Hope at level 13. This is amazing against tanks because it is going to do 10% damage to them once it finishes. So because we've taken the extra range at level 1, it means that it's much more likely to be able to finish, and we get this 10% damage bonus, which is going to be great. So again, Drain Hope doing its work at that point. Oddly enough, with Leoric you don't often run out of mana, but I haven't died yet, so I haven't had a chance to really take up mana. So I'd like to go and get mana at this point, but it's important that we take down this tower, so just wait until that goes down, get my Burning Rage, move around so I get maximum value out of the big swing. Falstad did a really nice job there, and take down the tower and try and half back because I'm really low on mana, as is Diablo. Diablo's having a great game actually, he's played really well. So we're just going to carry on. It's still a relatively close game. We are fairly even in terms of shrines taken. We have a slight level lead, but still fairly close. But with this Crushing Hope now and their double tank composition, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to zone their tanks away pretty nicely, so that they're not going to have the control that they wanted by going with a double tank composition, and I'll be able to get off some nice damage. And Leoric has great wave clear anyway, so we should be able to make sure that we can just keep them guessing. So normally you'd go put the Drain Hope onto the ETC there, but of course Rhaegar was a nice juicy target and possible for a kill, so we went with that option instead. And with this build I should also be able to zone fairly well when it comes to the towers. I can just hold on a bit longer, make sure that I'm high in health, doing a little bit of damage and going. So at this point I'm going to be healing myself for 30% of their hit points and doing 35% of their hit points damage if it finishes. So Unyielding Despair is amazing at 16. It's just going to again build into this Drain Hope thing. So it means that every second it's up, it reduces the cooldown by a second. So it effectively means constant Drain Hopes, particularly as I got the extra range. It's a great thing to have built into. So it will just mean that as I cast Drain Hope here on Johanna, then the cooldown on my Drain Hope is now up again. So it's not quite up all the time, but it's up a lot. It helps if you don't miss with it as well. But it just means that there's a constant threat. I'm getting constantly healed, constantly doing damage, and that's all percentage based on their tanks, which is great. So probably could have killed Johanna there if I'd hit that skill shot. There was a bit of lag in the game, but what can you do? So just check their camp, see if anybody's taking it. I'm fairly safe with my Wraithwalk. It's pretty difficult for them to get me. And just turn around, activate the ultimate, further sustain, and just keep those Drain Hopes going. But against this team comp, it's going to work out very nicely. So now really we're just going to wait for 20, because they don't really have damage. We're going to go for Spectral Leech, and again because they've got tanks, Spectral Leech is great. I just need a bit of health and mana, so going back for that. So Falstad's suggesting going for the boss. There isn't really much point in going for the boss at this point. Let's just get the towers. We'll try and get back into the action. No point in taking those siege camps. Let's try and take another tower. So we have a solid lead at this point, and if we can get to 20 before they can, if we don't get wiped, we should easily win this game, we're thinking. So just keep taking down the towers and make sure that any shots we get do more damage than any shots that they get. So now here trading is great for us, so we'd be much better off concentrating on a single shrine. So that's why I say everybody go to mid. So as long as we stay together and we don't get wiped, actually if we trade shrines we're probably going to get 5 or 6 shots to their 2 or 3, and we're already ahead. So trading is a great thing for us. So if we just hang around in the middle until that one's gone, now we can feel confident trying for the bot, but actually trading would have been fine. So activate my ult, but I get caught in more. It's fine. Still got loads of sustain, and again on Johanna, just making sure that I get healed. How much damage it's going to do. I know she's healing from the fountain, but there's a huge amount of damage. It's basically always up. So just getting lots of value. Amazing polymorph there from Brightwing. Just saved us all. And they're forcing out the Ancestral from Rhaegar. Right, I need to get out of here. Got pretty low mana. Not low mana, low health. And no point hanging around, nothing to fight over. Just checking that they aren't going to re-engage and go back. So it's quite a worrying push up at the top. So we need to go and defend that, but Sylvanas is on it, and we're now just going to go for Spectral Leech because of their poor damage output and the fact that they have 2 tanks. So again, the only way we can lose is if we get wiped. We're 20 versus 18, so much better to group up at this point, make sure that we do not get yanked. And if we all stick together, it doesn't even matter if we lose a fort. They don't have many hit points left on their core, and all we need to do is win another bell tower, pretty much, win another altar, sorry, another bell tower, and see how much damage we're doing there to Johanna, and the fact that, you know, I am basically still full health. But this would be entirely different. Now look how scared they are to engage. So the tanks running away because they do not want to see their hit points drop by 35% as I sit there. So we're able to zone out, I'm able to zone them out from this temple because they just don't want to engage at this point. They've had a lot of drain hopes on them, had a lot of extra damage, and they are worried about coming through, and they need to come through to stop us taking that temple, but they don't want to. So they're getting quite scared at this point. We get very close to channeling, but ETC comes in just at the last minute. So it's nice to concentrate on squishies, but equally it's important to keep yourself alive, and you get more hit points healed from a tank than you will from a squishy. And then we're so nearly there. It brings them down to one hit point on the core, so we just need to take the boss, and that's it. So other talents that are going to be specific to people, so if you're Lili, for example, you want to specialise into the longer blind that goes along if you are facing an Illidan, whereas otherwise, generally speaking, the Serpent build is going to be the way to go because it has the highest win rates, the best healing, the best damage, it has all sorts of things going for it. But there are times when you're going for particular things against particular people, blinds against auto attacks, self-sustain, particularly against sustained comps with low damage, shields, or some sort of burst healing against burst comps. So always make sure that you choose your talents depending on who you're up against, and to a degree also choose your heroes against versus who you're up against. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something, and I certainly learned something from watching this.